Welcome back, everybody, to the next episode of Don't Just Talk Lah. But this time, again, is a coaching edition. So we will doing a coach up together again. And today, we are welcoming back our very amazing panelists, Irene and Derek.
Thanks for having us.
Well, yeah, welcome. I enjoy our sessions where we talk about a lot of things. And today we have a very interesting topic that we kind of want to talk about today. And in today's topic, we will be talking about something very close to my heart. As we began this thing, I was like, it was something that I always desired as a person. And the topic today is the cry for affirmation. And I think for all of us, it's always one of the love language that everyone talks about. When you talk about love languages, affirmation is one of them. But I think today's topic, we will be talking a lot about affirmation, but we begin today with something that we posted up in our social media. We posted a very interesting poll. And the topic that we kind of talked about was that is affirmation crucial, especially when we embark in new adventures? And that's something that we want to talk about today. Before we talk about it, let me share with you what each one of you who participated in the poll said about it. And amazingly, all of us, every one of you agreed that it's important for affirmation to begin in a new adventure. As we start something new and we are putting ourselves into a place where we are always being affirmed, is something that positively improves ourselves. So, Derek, Irene, let's talk about this. What do we think about this poll? And what do you feel that the viewers are saying about it?
It's very interesting for me. Wow, it's 100%. That's very interesting. I think this stems up from the human experience. Yeah, most of us, whether we realize it or not, we feel good when we're being affirmed in the things that we've done. Yeah, I'm the type of person that word of affirmation is also very high, probably like you, Justin. Very much that's my love language, and I crave and I want to hear that when people are telling me that whether I'm doing something well or not. So I think this is very interesting. But I do know some people probably the degree of need of affirmation is not that high. And for me, I can see that it's very different whether I'm starting on something important or just something very simple. Yeah, whether I categorize it as being crucial or just something simple. So if it's just something simple, affirmation is it's okay. If I get it, great. If I don't, that's fine. But if it's something that is very important to my heart, whoa, I crave for it. I really want to hear. And it's a reflection of am I doing things right? Am I on the right track? And I want to know that I am walking the right path. I think that is just interesting, mind-blowing for me.
I find it really encouraging that all the people who came online to look at this line and voted for it agrees. Everyone agrees with this. It's just really encouraging because that's what I would agree to as well. So I'm blessed to hear that so many people are in this school, with this school of thoughts, that affirmation is crucial. And we put it there, especially when we are starting something, because I imagine this is when it is most crucial. Just like when you have a dream, and a new dream is like a very seedling that just started to grow. That's where protection is needed. That's where vital care is to be given. But when it is cared for and it became a bigger plant or a bigger tree, then yeah, there might be some dry patch, rain's not coming, water's not provided. It will still survive because it has grown some roots. But when it just started to grow, when it's starting, this is when encouragement and affirmation is crucial. I've coming from a negative place, I've also had my own dreams being crushed. The moment I shared it, everybody's telling me why it cannot work, you know. This does not help. No one is dreaming with me and encouraging me to dream. But when I talk with someone who cares to dream and encourage, then wow, eventually that dream came to be. So in my own life also, I realized how important encouragement is. Grateful that people are seeing this as well.
Yeah, I think for me also, I agree. As I started off this podcast, you know, there was a little fear, like how would it turn out? You know, I'm a bit camera shy, like, oh no, I don't want to do this, you know. But I think I had a dream, and I think for me, the most important person affirmed of that dream. You know, I think like when I started off, I had an idea, and I was just sharing with Rachel, my wife, and she was saying, "Oh my God, that is what is so important. You should start it. You know, it's good to go for it." And for me, that was like, okay, but how? You know, I'm so uncertain. But having her, you know, kind of like also affirm me. And even when the podcast started off, the first video I posted up, you know, I was preparing for the recording. I was so anxious, like, oh, you know, what happened to this situation? But I was so blessed with a team, you know, and you all know who you are. You know, as you watch this, you all amazingly supported me. I had a group of like 5 to 6 people like saying, yeah, Justin, do it. You know, I want to see you do this. You know, I've experienced you coaching and helping me. I want you to help other people. You know, this is what is needed. And I think that really propelled me at the start of this whole podcast to be affirmed about what I desire and dreamed about to do and it coming alive. And just that support really kind of challenged me and just supported me like, hey Justin, come on, do it, you know, and move forward. And I think that affirmation, hearing from each one of you out there, how y'all have been blessed by it, you know, the encouragement. I see every single video, different people are encouraging me. Even the last one, Jeannie encouraged us in the comments, you know. I think that's really what I guess excites me and pushes me forward and say, Justin, continue this work that you started because people are receiving it well and people are encouraging you and it's going to where you desire the goal towards. Yeah. But interestingly, Derek, you know, you shared certain things about people, you know, and challenging you, maybe not encouraging you at the start of your journey. The next question for all of us is this. It's so amazing is that when we look at the Southeast Asia culture, you know, what is it that we resonate with the idea of affirmation, the Southeast Asia culture? For me, I have experienced a lot of negativity, I guess, from people like South Asia. It's always criticism first. You know, people say it's tough love. You know, I'm trying to criticize because I want you to be better. You know, what do we think about that? How about you, Irene?
In my opinion, we have great room to grow when it comes to affirmation in our culture. Speaking from my own personal experience, when my baby was born, new mother, 6 days old. So we went back to the hospital, and my gynecologist was looking, and she told me, "Oh, your baby looks kind of yellow. I think it's jaundice. Why don't you get her checked? There's a lab upstairs, and just bring her there." So we brought her there, and then at 4 o'clock, they got the result, and they called me. The first word that was uttered to me was, "Your baby may be brain damaged." That was the first word that was uttered to me. Oh my goodness. It's like, imagine this in a situation where my body was healing, was trying to cope with the difference that was just happening to me. New mother, I was just 6 days holding my baby, a week or 6 days. Yeah. I, that was so fearful, you know. That was what was given to me instead of an affirmation. There was a negative to it. And we know that with every dose of fear, it takes at least 3 doses of love to neutralize it. It was quite difficult. I honestly say that it was, oh wow, the first few days, every day at the time where the call came, that was about 4 o'clock in the evening. Every day for the next 3 to 4 days, I had this panic attack. and I was crying uncontrollably. I can't do anything. I was just crying. And that was quite bad until we took some action towards that and say, okay, this is nowhere to live. I am going to neutralize that. And I really thank God that so many people that surrounded me called me to give me doses of love, that, you know, it is normal part of infancy. Jaundice is a normal part of infancy. It is okay. And seek a second opinion. So that's what we did. The pediatrician that we sent my daughter to is very, very supportive. She's not the type that fear mongered. She was supporting us, you know. This is how we do it. We'll do it slow. And my friends will keep calling me, are you okay? Yeah, you're doing well. Just want to affirm you. You're doing great as mama. Keep feeding her. Keep just looking at the signs, and just keep loving your child. You'll be fine. It's a normal part of infancy. And by sometimes after that, like, yeah, I still get a lot of fear mongering from the medical establishment about my child. Yeah, this doctor will say this, the other doctor will say this. And then in the end, me and my husband decided, you know what? We are going to tap into our parental instinct. We're going to do it, the things that is right for our child. We're not going to subject her to more of those traumas, because drawing blood is traumatic. And putting her through a urine test was very traumatic as well. So we decided, no, not anymore. We're gonna trust ourselves. We're gonna trust our instinct. And she has something that we call breast milk jaundice. It was gone after 6 weeks, and she's thriving. She is an amazing little girl who's happy. Yeah, who gets a lot of affirmation, by the way. Yeah. So that is one example that I see for my life. And I also see the opposite of it when affirmation was given in the right place. I remember years ago, I ran a program with a friend. And it's a program that was written by Derek, yours truly, Derek, 30 Days for Better Self-Awareness. And through that program, this friend of mine found her passion. She realized that there was a buried dream within her. And she always wanted to be a writer. And she knew that she can write very well. She expresses herself very well. So after that program, she came to me, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to write my book. Are you on with me? I say, okay, I'm going to be in this journey with you, together with you, okay? So I gave her some tips about planning, and she did that. And almost every week or every 2 weeks, we'll meet up and we'll talk about how the progress were. And when she gets so beaten down, she'll text me and say, okay, I can't do this anymore. And my role was that I'll step in and ask her, so what's happening? Talk now. Yeah. So we worked through things to the point that she published a book and said, oh, I did it finally. That was the first book. And by the time she was writing her second book, she gave me a call. Irene, I'm going to write my second book. I said, wow, great. Let me know if you need any help. Sure, I'm sure you'll be here to be with me as my companion. I said, great. And the second time that she called me back, I said, Irene, can we make time to meet up? I want to give you a gift. It's my second book. It's been published. See, it's such a difference for the first time when she really needs somebody there. And the second time when, wow, this is my lifestyle. I'm going to write more books in that sense. So I can see the difference in that, like the richness of affirmation and the lack of it. Yeah, and we need a lot of love to neutralize the lack of it.
Awesome story, Irene. I take it these days with our younger generation, we are much more inclined towards being a nation, a culture that affirms, which was quite different when we were younger. Perhaps it's the influence of some of these Western movies or television shows that we have seen, where a lot of affirmation seems to come through this. I remember as a child looking at the Western family, well, at least in the movies, it's like, wow, they're so nice. They say nice things to one another. I hardly would hear any of those coming from any adults when I was younger. So this is like 50 years ago. And I remember my older brother commenting this when fighting with one of my parents, saying like, look, you're always criticizing me. Look at the television, you know. The parents are nice to them. They are much more forgiving. Well, that's on the television. I had the privilege to be among majority Europeans at the age of 21. I was overwhelmed by affirmation. Whenever I would do something, maybe speaking, giving a comment, uh, uh, singing, people would came back to me. People came back to me and said like, wow, Derek, that was really good. And my first response or reaction to that was, man, that's so exaggerated, It was a little thing that I did, and why this overwhelming affirmation? But little did I know those affirmations were the things that got me going and started to believe in myself and eventually realizing that I'm so much more than how I saw myself. So I'm very grateful to see that in Southeast Asia itself, um, more and more of the younger generation are leaning towards this beautiful reality that the human person needs encouragement and affirmation. I'm grateful to be with a lot of the younger parents who are like saying, okay, my parents didn't do that to me, but now I'm going to do this to my children. And they do it really, really well. I have a friend who has a range of kids, 3 kids. From the oldest is now 21, but when he was a teenager, really had a lot of challenging time with the parents. And then one of the parents reflected to me and said, yeah, because when he was young, we were quite harsh with him. Some way along the line, before they had their youngest, there was a change in the family. They, were converted. They believed more in the loving way of guiding their children. And now with the youngest one, they say, he's different because we have always encouraged him. The way he approached life, the way he spoke to us, the way he asked for things, it's all very different. So even in that, this my generation of parents, even when they had a conversion of heart, they could see that the way they treated their children had brought a change. If they were more encouraging, they saw a different set of confidence with their young children. There's a lot more that we can say about that. Well, one of them would be that young people, young people especially because they are quite open, they respond to affirmation much more than criticism. I had the privilege of teaching young children, 4 to 6 years old, some time ago. I was running a program called Speech and Drama. Usually, we are well trained to spot the wrong. In my younger days, when I was a piano teacher, that's all I do. You play that wrong, you did that wrong. But when I was a speech and drama teacher, we were all encouraged to spot the right. Yet, because of my background, my first few months, I was calling out the wrong, like, don't run around, don't be so loud. I was shouting all these kind of things. Obviously, it was very tiring. It didn't work at all. And if they did sit down and listen to me, it was all because they got afraid of my loud voices. But eventually, I was reminded, because we were taught to spot the wonderful things. So I shouted out all the things that were doing right. When I said, come on, let's sit down, and one kid would sit down, I would scream like, wow, that's so fantastic. You're sitting down, you're listening to teacher. And the next moment I know, another kid would sit down and I would do the same. And by the end of all that commotion, everyone is sitting down and listening to teacher. I'm realizing a very powerful point here for myself, that affirmation brings the works that we want, brings the result that we want, while criticism may get somewhere, but the intention may not be the most exciting.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think growing up, I think not many people know I'm dyslexic, and so I remember this very strong memory of like during my childhood years. I always struggle to keep up with other people's results. A lot of my best friends around me, all straight A students, and I was just like barely passing. And I think what really triggered me was when I was standard six, and I did my UPSR, as all of us did, exams to go into secondary school. And I remember this one auntie asked me, "Oh, how do you do?" And I just said, "Oh, I already got like 3 out of 5 A's, you know, not so well." But oh, that's so good, Justin. That is so amazing. Like you are doing well, and encouraging me. And until today, I still have that memory with me, you know. And so I will agree that although there's a lot of places of growth, we are doing it and in small ways. It's happening for us. People are getting, and I agree. Maybe the Western culture is there, but also I think psychology and all these things. People are learning up more things. You know, maybe the different age gap situation where younger parents are more aware about the positivity of affirmation. The older generation, maybe they were not given that opportunity. I'm also seeing that the younger generation are trying to say, okay, how can I make my child better? And I think even in the different ways of it, as I work with younger people in the church situation, I realize also they respond better when we encourage them and we challenge them and say, okay, this was what was very well, how can you look at it this way? And talk to them as adults and affirming them rather than like authorization and, oh, this is wrong, that thing. And we see that so much that they take on more responsibility. They grow as leaders, like for example, one time there was this whole group of them, and what I did was I chose the noisiest guy, and I said, hey, brother, can you help me? Can you get everyone to keep quiet? Because our next session is coming, next program is coming on. And then he was like, yes, teacher, I'll do it for you. And he just got everyone to be quiet. So I used the noisiest guy to make everyone, because he felt empowered. He felt affirmed. And I tell him, thank you, you're so well. And so sometimes I just encouraged him and affirmed him. And then he takes on the responsibility the next time. He did the same, whenever everyone, hey guys, the next session is happening. No, keep quiet, sit down. And so empowering them by just that one sentence of affirmation, that one sentence of encouragement did wonders. And I see that so many, and I agree. It's a growing process and it will grow. And I believe in our culture now in Southeast Asia, we are growing to where it's going to be a great journey for us as we move in this area. Now, I think one of the things that we realize that is important for us is affirmation. But I think one of the next questions I want to first touch on is that how can we make this a lifestyle? How do we create affirmation circumstances that their lifestyle is cultivated in our circle around us? Yeah. How about Derek? What do you think?
It's great, Justin, that you are paraphrasing this or saying this as a lifestyle. When we think about lifestyle, then it is beyond just what we do externally, but it is something that is happening inside of us. Definitely, if we look at this as a lifestyle, we're looking at the inner voice also. Do I possess and am I living that inner voice that is very encouraging? So imagine for most of us as a human person, the encouragement at an early age came from adults. We help the children to grow, to walk, to talk by encouraging them. Surprisingly, well, maybe not that surprising also, it's quite easy to encourage young people. We don't judge them so harshly. If they would fall down, we are never criticizing them. We say, oh, it's okay, you'll do well, you can do this again. And when they walk for the first time, I've heard from stories of most parents, they just went over hill, head over heel with the excitement. That gives a lot of encouragement to these young souls. I've also learned that one of the main motive of young people seems to be make adults smile. They are always looking for smiles. So if their achievement is bringing joy to all the people, then definitely that's what they want to do. So uh, it may seem like encouragement then came from the external source. However, I would like to suggest that actually it was already in them, and the external source simply reaffirm what is there. I see it like this. By the time these kids are 4 or 6, they understand quite a lot of the languages that was happening around them. When I was working with these kids, and when I encouraged them and said, wow, you are so good, and they wake up, they come alive. And that's how it was for me. If anybody were to tell me, especially when I was younger, today also, but when I was younger, that when they say I was good, I came alive. But we never do well when people criticize us, and sometimes very, very shamefully being criticized. That's really, really unfortunate. And when people say to us that you're terrible, you're lousy, you're never good for anything, it somehow does not sit well with us, rightfully so, because it's not truly who we are. So I use the word resonate very often nowadays when I help people to understand. Does that resonate with you? And when it resonates with us, because it means that this was already there. I knew this somehow. And now the external sources are affirming that. And when I receive that, then I um, raise that inner voice to a higher place, and that I can use that over and over again. So I believe a lifestyle would simply mean that first, there is an inner voice in me that says, Derek, you are good. And then I can say, Justin, you are good. But when I give that affirmation to you and say, Justin, you're great, it makes a lot more sense. First and foremost, to me, as I'm saying it, because I'm saying it genuinely, I can see that, and it also comes across to you in a more genuine way. It's definitely not going to work when I'm self-criticizing all the time. And if I either then criticize you and say, oh, Justin is good for nothing, but I say, hey, Justin, you're really good. It's not going to come across well. And also, if I self-criticize and say, I'm really terrible and everybody else is better. And when I say that to you, it's also not from a generous spirit. It comes from a place of comparison, like, yeah, you're always better than me. So definitely I'm terrible, I'm nobody, you are everything. And that kind of comparison is not really affirmation. It's simply elevating someone else as in better than you. It doesn't go well.
Genuine affirmation. It's like calling out the good in the other people, another person out. And I see that that's the way that it also call out life, people to come alive, in a sense. When you call out the goodness in others, that's where somebody else also get alive. And this is like a ripple effect. When I am affirmed, when I am encouraged, very naturally, I am also going to encourage other people. When I am living out my best life, and when I'm living out life in the fullness, I want other people to experience the same thing. I want everybody to come alive, because that's what we need in the world, isn't it? People who are alive. And affirmation is such a strong and powerful, as well as effective tool to bring that out, bringing out the best in other people. So I'm seeing this as something that we is crucial to practice on a daily basis. It's also crucial to be aware when we catch ourselves criticizing more than affirming to others as well as to ourselves. And as Derek mentioned, that there are true self, the true goodness that is inside of us. When we find ourselves criticizing too much, then it's time to stop a little bit. What's happening there? What's happening there? Yeah. Do I need some affirmation externally, or should I want somebody to call that out? So that is a very amazing kind of a dynamic. Even I see it a lot in our coaching relationship as well. That's calling that goodness out. It's so powerful. It's so affirming and so empowering.
Thanks, Irene. I'd like to add to that. You're saying about coaching relationship, the way we are always encouraging the client, and this encouragement that's amazing thing. By just saying a few words, like when someone share their story, um, if it is a positive one, then you say, wow, that was fantastic. Wow, that was great. And just by hearing these few sentences, they open up even more. They go deeper. Or if they share a story that's not so amazingly great, but then we as coaches are hearing their story and said, like, however, this goodness is still happening in you. In the midst of the storm, in the midst of the darkness, we still see light. And that opens up someone. And then they say, yeah, right. And now they are ready to go deeper and face the issue and work through it. So encouragement does wonders. Talking about lifestyle, I'd like to share a story that was very encouraging for me. And I was saying that if you want to encourage someone and you want to affirm someone, it needs to be something that you truly believe in. So you're not just giving a theory, but you're sharing a lifestyle. I remember sharing with a group of young people, and one of the ways I encourage young people is to widen their dreams, like dream bigger, don't just go for the small stuff. Uh, so this whole idea that, oh, you must be cautious, you must be realistic. I say, okay, that comes later after you have your big dreams. Don't put that one first and then dream. A group of young people once reflected back to me when I was encouraging them to dream big, to go for the most exciting things in their lives, and don't look at boundaries and let boundaries limit you. Mm-hmm. And they came back and said to me that it wasn't new things that they were hearing. In fact, they said they've heard so many people telling them to do this throughout their lives. However, they said, but when we heard you speaking, we were very convinced, and we like to hear that from you because we see that you apply this in your life. You are living it. And I see this as a very crucial principle that all of us want to come into. Now, sometimes we feel so terrible about ourselves, and then we want to say to others, but you're good, you're good. It doesn't work. It's two parts of a difference, that you are saying something that you yourself don't even believe in. But when you live the lifestyle that I am good, now you're saying it to one another, you're also great, then it makes a lot of sense. And talking about lifestyle, then one of those things that are very important for people person, especially people person, is that you bring about a group of friends who speak this language of encouragement, who are very quick to affirm and slower to criticize. Criticism, especially when it is constructive criticism, it's important. But that's not always the first thing that helps. The first thing that helps is spot your strength, call out your strength, then work on your weaknesses. It's far more effective and far more powerful.
Yes, I have a first-hand experience. Yes, Derek, that was a very good point that I remembered a very good experience when back in the days in New Zealand when we were running outreaches. Yeah, I've learned from you very well. Thank you, Sifu. That when we do a feedback session, it is important to start with the affirmation. I see that being very powerful because when I see it in the face of the people, you can feel it in the energy, in the that is just the encouragement. The spirit was so high. So we started with like, what do you think I've done well today? And let's affirm that. Yeah, and we started a big round and everybody was in a high spirit. And once we talk, okay, now let's move into how can we make this better? Let's bring it higher. And they were in a high spirit when talking about their mistakes. So that is just awesome. It's amazing. It's a lifestyle that is very important. It's so crucial. I see that.
Yeah, totally agree. I one of the person that was in New Zealand when Irene did that too. Oh. I think, yeah, I remember when we were out on outreach, and I think I remember you sharing like, hey, You know, the leaders are like, oh, how about what can we do better than Irene? No, like, how about what do we did well? You know, I think in that case, when we are coming from an abundance of joy, abundance of our heart, you know, it says in the Bible, heart the mouth speaks. You know, and I think it's very natural and situational that when we are, you know, when we are filled with things, it's easier for us to see, okay, you know, I'm good. How can I be better? Rather than the other opposite, like let's think about what must I do about myself. We come from a point of negativity and like, oh, maybe I'm not so good, you know, that but I statement, you know, the I statement that, you know, and where is that's where we have to kind of really come from, is that we are good, you know, but we can be better. And I think that's what really happens again when we do coaching. I agree with that. I've seen a lot of my clients that, you know, when I started with them, they always like, you know, would this be okay? Should I go into this? The uncertainty. And I think for me, it was that when I encourage them, I said, yeah, you know, you have the gifting, you have the talent, you have the capacity. Try it out, you know, experiment. What is the worst you can do? You know, if it doesn't go so well, let's see how we can make it better. And I have first-hand experience seeing them grow, you know, and I think it connects with them that when they were starting off, they were a bit fearful, a bit worried, and as I continue coaching them and coaching this group of guys, then when they worked together, they came as a group and unit, they started living out that. And so when I meet them, it's like so much moving forward. Like the next time I meet them, like they're already like 3-step level higher, you know, because they are encouraging one another, they are living out the thing. Rather than at the start where they were all like uncertain, you know. Oh no, it's always talk about negativity and talk about things. There was no affirmation in the group. But when it came together, they elevated themselves. They all grew together and became a next level. And I think that is something that's so amazing. And I think I want to affirm you, and I too have experienced that. And we did. I think 3 of us are part of this program called Jumpstart, and we always encourage people. And I really see that, you know, whenever we encourage them to dream big, you know, at the start of the program, and they'll be like, no lah, you know, and as they grow, you know, as we speak to them, we encourage them, we give them a space to cast vision, you know, dream big, you know. I think you always use the word that, you know, if you can get anything you want, you know, don't worry about finance, don't worry about any other situation. What's your perfect situation? How would you want to dream it out? And then when they do it, and then suddenly they start talking about great dreams, great things. Whew, you know, they're on fire. At the end of the program, they are like, woohoo, let's change the world, you know. And I think that is something that we need in the society. We need in the world, that there are earth shakers, earth movers, and that's what the world needs right now. People who are thinking, and it only happens when a group of people encourages. And I think that's the lifestyle that we are creating. You know, I've learned so much when I spend time with both of you. You know, you always encourage me. You know, and I think that's why I'm so easy. Let's encourage others. It's because I've experienced it, and I want to share it naturally to the people around me. Yeah. So I think like one of the great things that that I agree, and I think this quote from Jim Rohn, you know, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And naturally, if we are spending time with people who are criticizing, negativity around, we become negative naturally. But when we are circling ourselves, putting people who are positive, who are encouraging one another, we all encourage one another and we all grow. So the idea of growing together as a group, leveling up, you know, growing as a team, and it seems so easily, you know, that as we grow together, it becomes a successful situation, and then we can kind of like live a life of affirmation and lifestyle that leads us to success, rather than ponder the negativity, but ponder the positivity and how can we succeed much more. You know, I think that's something that is amazing for me. I've experienced it with 2 of you, 4 of you, and where we are today, and I think it's really going to help and bless other people out there. So before we end, any final thoughts from any one of you that you want to add on to just share with us?
Let's be encourager. Yeah, sure. Let's be an encourager and lift other people up. By that way, we're also lifting ourselves up. And the way of encouragement and affirmation, it is the path to our success.
Definitely, we want to be a culture that is moving forward, then we want to be a culture that is affirming. In a way, it becomes now our choice when we know about this. What is the future that we want to build? The one that is going to grow and become successful in many ways is then to start affirming and live that affirmation lifestyle.
As you heard that people from the coaches, all of us want to encourage you to be that person, that catalyst of encouragement to people, and you start seeing people change, people grow. And I think that's something that all of us definitely want to do. And I thank each one of you for being part of the polling system where we started off with the code. And I think each one of you have been blessed and will be blessed with our ongoing podcast. For our upcoming topics, we're going to really talk a little bit more about a lot of things that is very much up your alley. And as we are a group, we want to really grow into that. So next week we'll be talking about accountability. So do check out our social media in the coming days, where we will ask a question, ask certain things, and we want to hear from you. What is it that in the area of accountability that you desire and grow, and I want you all to be part of it. Do share us a comment. We want to hear from you continuously. Put it into our YouTube our comments in a YouTube video, even in we can connect us on our Instagram page, our Facebook page. Just share with us, and we want to hear from you all. So before we end, I want to thank again Irene and Derek for being part of these sessions. We have so much more with them. I'm excited for each one of you to watch it, and we thank you for being part of this thing, for listening to us this time, and do share, like, and subscribe to this video. Share to the people that you think that will benefit from this video, and truly will be able to bless them and help them to grow to the next level. I'll see you all guys later. Bye.